Levis, number 2 overall to the Houston Texans. Say it ain't so. It's not, right? Let's try to make some sense of this in the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really
All
do.
right, come on.
We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked.
It is the locker room, number 1 source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2. Sports Radio 610 in the Odyssey app. And the show tomorrow just got a little bit more interesting. We are close to 9 days away from the NFL draft. Single digit days start, and they open with a bang. Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. You've heard me call him Gosh Allen. He has jumped up as the betting favorite to be the number 2 overall pick. He did so at Caesars Sportsbook. Now he's kind of back down to the second favorite with Will Anderson as the favorite, but he had fallen for a while. The betting odds are going crazy. Anyway, there's been a big soar of Will Levis as the number 2 overall pick. And of all the picks that the Texans could make, I think this would be the one that would generate the most intense reaction. Right now, we've been in the middle of a discussion since it appears that Bryce Young is going to be the favorite of quarterback or not quarterback. And it seems like, despite the fact a lot of times it's generalized where people say quarterback, it seems like it's basically CJ Stroud or don't draft a quarterback. That seems like the discussion. But now Will Levis is generating some interest. And I have 5 reasons or 5 scenarios to try to make sense of why this may be. We'll go through them here in the locker room. Subscribe, if you haven't been in before. Daily Texans digital content with someone who works at the station. I have a show 10 to 2, home of the Texans. They let us criticize them. And I'll be honest, if Will Levis ends up with the Houston Texans, I'm probably gonna have to interview him at camp, and I'm gonna have to admit, man, I'm not big on this, which brings us to scenario 1 and try to make sense of this. Maybe the Texans love Will Levis and it got out. Now, there are a couple things that would factor into the Texans loving Will Levis. And it really just comes down to, I think, first and foremost, what does Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, think of Will Levis? He's a film guy. He's an offensive guy. The head coach is a defensive guy. What does Bobby Slowick think of Will Levis? We know what decisions Bobby Slowick has been a part of. He's been a part of the 49ers process in 2017 that led to passing on a quarterback. He's been part of a process that led to them taking Trey Lance over Justin Fields and Mac Jones. How much he had to do with those processes, who knows? But he was a part of it. And quarterback evaluation is something that I'm sure that he hangs his hat on, and film evaluation is something that we know that he hangs his hat on. So, in order for the Texans to love him, you would think Bobby Slowick had a big say in this. But as far as it getting out, I just find that really hard to believe. With how tight-lipped the Texans have been, like we've had no idea what they're going to do. 9 days out, it just seems like kind of a long shot that the Texans would let this get out. Like Nick Caserio didn't say anything to tip his hand. It just seems like that would be really, really weird for the Texans to let this get out. So scenario 1, the Texans like him and it got out. It seems like a long shot. Maybe I'm in denial because I'm not the biggest Will Levis fan, but that's scenario 1. Scenario 2, could there be a trade? Could the Texans be making a trade, and could it be tipped off that the team that they're trading to likes Will Levis? That could be a possibility. But again, this would go back to the leaks. Now, Nick Caserio did say today that the Texans were open to making a trade. So maybe someone knows something about a trade and they know that the Texans are going to not take Will Levis. Maybe someone knows that the Texans are going to take Will Anderson and they know that the team trading with the Arizona Cardinals is going to take Will Levis. So either the Texans love him and it got out, or could there be a trade? Those are the first two scenarios. Scenario numero tres, number 3. The secret is out that the Texans don't like CJ Stroud. We know this. Like, it's become pretty apparent that the Texans are not as high on CJ Stroud as a lot of people are. At least that appears to be the case. Peter King said as much. We've heard other people say as much. Could it just be as simple as that the secret is out that the Texans don't like Stroud? And if the Texans don't like Stroud, then naturally Levis would be coming out. Maybe the secret is out that the representation of CJ Stroud knows that the Texans aren't going to take him. So maybe they've put it out there, and maybe that's why this is out. Again, we're trying to make sense of this, and trying to make sense of draft dialogue is a very, very dangerous thing. Scenario 4, could this be some sort of sport book plotting? Could they be trying to get money on Will Levis? Could there be so many bets on some other guy that sports books are just messing with us? This isn't like odds in a game. The odds in draft odds, they shift all over the place. Remember when CJ Stroud jumped to the favorite, and then all of a sudden it was Bryce Young? Could this be just the usual seesaw of draft odds? That's scenario 4. Scenario 5, I do wonder about. It might sound crazy to you, but I do wonder about scenario 5. But let's revisit scenario 1 through 4 before we get to 5. Scenario 1, Texans love him and it got out. Scenario 2, could there be a trade? Scenario 3, the secret is out that the Texans don't like Stroud. Scenario 4, some sort of sportsbook plotting. Scenario 5, did the Manning bros jump the line? ESPN put out the Peyton, Eli, and Archie special today, the second one, in which they did some study on Will Levis. Is it possible that the Las Vegas betting odds and the odds makers thought that maybe after people watch this Peyton Manning, Eli Manning special on Will Levis, that maybe they could jump the line up a little bit, that maybe they could dupe some people that watch this and then decide that they want to get some action on it? Because what else would have happened? Like, what's realistic? Did the Texans just all of a sudden, like, what happened today? Nick Caserio spoke. He didn't say a damn thing. We haven't heard anything about a trade. The Will Levis special dropped today on ESPN with the Manning brothers. Could the Manning brothers have dropped the line or jumped the line? Trying to make some sense of it. Don't know. Maybe I'm in denial. Maybe I have to get ready for Will Levis to be the franchise quarterback for the Houston Texans. Who knows? Try to make sense of it tomorrow. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Subscribe, like. Got John Harris, who wasn't high on Levis. He's coming in the locker room tomorrow. Going to have Gary Kubiak a little bit later on this week as well. It's stacked. We're single-digit days away. Say it ain't so. Will Levis to H-Town. Let's try to make some sense of this together.
Sweet process. Amen. Local live. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, top 2, and we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways.